My journey related to civil service was something that began only after my post-graduation days in college. But even before that, I have exposed to the examination procedure as well as the results of the toppers from Kerala. Especially the year that I remember is 2014, when the first three rank holders among the top four were from Kerala. At that point, I was a student who was studying in the 10th standard. So it was in that time that I knew about, or I first came to understand about the importance of this examination and how the people around the country are actually eagerly awaiting for writing this examination, and the kind of fame, kind of visibility that we gain through this examination. At first, that was the most important thing that struck in my mind, who was a high school student at that point in time. And later, during my graduation and post-graduation days, I have also got the opportunity to interact with many of the UPSC aspirants who were my seniors, who were also my mentors of different competition, etc. So they had a dream of becoming a civil servant, and they spoke continuously about the importance of civil services as a career option for the graduates of the country. So it was only when in my last year of my graduation, my undergraduation, I got the opportunity to write the examination as a scribe for one of my seniors. He cleared the examination in the first attempt, and the second attempt he was allotted with the Indian Administrative Service. So it was the first time, as writing the scribe for a person, that I came to understand what is the syllabus of the examination, what is the procedure of the examination, and how is the examination conducted. So I understood that while writing as a scribe, I understood that my knowledge is limited. So I have to study more about the syllabus. I have to study more about the PYQ. But at the same time, I got interested in the procedure for the question patterns, the way of solving the questions, because at that point in time, I was also writing some of the Public Service Commission examinations and also the University Grants Commissions, UGC examinations at that point in time, which were all multiple choice questions. The UPSC Prelims is also a multiple choice question. So I thought that the understanding of all the other examinations that I am writing will help me in clearing the UPSC prelims. So after my post-graduation, without any coaching or support, I wrote the prelims examination and I miserably failed there. So that was my first attempt in 2021. Immediately after, 1 month after my post-graduation, I wrote the examination for the first time and I was not able to clear the examination. So at that point, I decided that I need a proper guidance for writing this examination. And coming to at that point in 2021, somewhere around then, I have also knew about the job content of this examination. It is not only about the Indian Administrative Service or Indian Foreign Service. There are also some of the other services like the Indian Revenue Service, Indian Postal Service, Indian Information Service, which offer a very wide and very diverse opportunities to interact with the public. Along with that, we can serve the nation with a decent pay scale. So that was the first impression about the job content and the profile of the examination. So after that, I decided to study for the examination for the 2022 attempt. So I started working on the core textbooks like Lakshmikant for Indian Polity and Nitin Singhania for Indian Economy. So such kind of texts were collected. I started reading the books. I started coaching. I also started taking mock tests, etc., etc. But at that point also, I was not able to qualify the prelims. I lost the cutoff by nearly 4 to 5 marks, which was just 2 questions away from the clearing the cutoff for the examination. So then I gave one more attempt in 2023, but at that point I have joined for the my research, PhD research, the admission procedures and all. So again, I couldn't qualify the examination with a distance of 6 to 7 marks from the cutoff. So then I decided to take a break and identify the mistakes in my preparation so that I can correct all these issues in my 2025 attempt. So I took a 2 year break. Because 2023 I wrote the examination, 2024 I didn't register for the examination. So my next attempt would be in 2025. So I've been waiting for the 2025 prelims from 2023 June. I've started reading newspaper more intensely, taking notes directly from the newspaper for current affairs. And also at the same time I have started even though I was not writing the examination in 2024, I have also attempted some of the mock tests for 2024 so that not to lose the touch of the examination. The procedure should be there within me. That was first thing. And secondly, until the 2024 October or November, I was preparing for the mains examination. I was again attending the classes for the optional. I was writing the mock mains tests so that I get an idea about the mains answer writing, getting feedbacks from the mentors, collecting data, collecting examples which can be utilized for the mains examination. So that was my procedure until 2024 November to December. I was focusing mostly on the mains examination. And then in 2025 January, 2024 December, 2025 January, when there was 6 months left for the prelims examination, I have started my intensive preparation for the prelims. My prelims preparation was a threefold strategy. First thing was reading the core text again and again as a part of revision, making now notes out of them so that it helps for the final revision of the subjects and materials. And secondly, the most important thing was related to the question papers. More question papers by the different academies around India. I have collected maximum number of question papers. I think for the 2025 prelims, I did nearly 100 to 120 mock prelims question papers of different subjects, as well as the full test, the full length text and comprehensive test of different academies were collected. And I have attempted all this mock test. Along with that, rather than simply passively attempting the examinations, I consider it as a very active procedure, where I collected the points and content from the answer keys of the mock test, so that it helps me in improving my repository of ideas about the examination. So which are relevant, the ideas which are relevant, the concepts which are relevant, which are unfamiliar, etc. I have taken note from the answer keys. So that is the second step of revision. The first step was reading the core textbooks of the each subject, NCRTs, as well as the core textbook of subjects. And the second step was related to the mock answer keys and taking notes from that. And the final step of my prelims preparation was again, I was taking the PYQs. PYQs of nearly from 1995 to 2025. I've tried almost all the questions of different subjects, especially the subjects where I was very weak. For example, geography, I was comparatively weak. Medieval history, I was comparatively weak. So I took a book. I took a book of the PYQs, where the PYQs were categorized into different subject-wise PYQs from 1995 to 2025. So I took almost all the PYQs. Rather than solving PYQs, I took the most important keyword from the PYQ, so that I get an idea about which portion or what is something that is asked in the question. So last 10 days, 10 to 15 days were completely dedicated for solving the PYQs and revising the things from the textbook. So this was my strategy for the prelims. Then I qualified the prelims, and for the mains, I again there was two part of the preparation. One was definitely related to taking content from different compilation from newspapers, taking examples, data, collecting compilations of data which can be used in different GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4 papers. And along with that, I have also started reading the books of optional. My optional is Malayalam literature, so that needs a very dedicated and intensive reading of some of the core textbooks that are prescribed in the syllabus. So I started reading the optional subject. Along with that, I have also started collecting materials for the mains examination, data and points that can be used in different answers. For example, something that is related to women empowerment, a data related to women empowerment, a data related to parliament, etc., can be used in different answers in different subjects. So such kind of data rewards more in the mains examination. So that was one thing that I've done for the content part. And for the practice part, I took as a part of my coaching the mains answer writing program. In the evening of every day, I took nearly 5 questions. I tried to solve 5 questions within 40 minutes, followed with the mentor explaining the ways in which to think about this particular question. So in that sense, I have also written nearly 300 answers in the 60 days. I have written nearly 300 answers for the mains answer writing program. And in addition to that, there was also a test series that I took. Yeah. There were different test series that I took from different academies. I collected question papers again, but rather than writing answers for all the question papers, what I did was focusing on the answer keys to collect points that are relevant and that can be used in the different GS papers or the ethics paper or optional paper, so that I can improve my answers in multiple ways. So that was the preparation done for the mains examination. One of the major tasks that I encountered during my mains answer writing was the time. I was very weak in time management, so I couldn't complete the papers, especially GS1. Nearly 1.5 question was left, and in the optional paper also, paper 2 of the optional also, I have lost nearly 1 to 1.5 question was left empty. I couldn't write. So that was one major challenge. Otherwise, I got a decent mark compared to it is not a good written mark or something. So a decent mark of 761 in the mains examination. And the final stage, as we know, it is related to the personality test or the interview. So for the interview, also I was trying to modify my speaking styles, because I come from a background of being a debate competitions and elocution competition. So I had a very aggressive tone of speaking. Even now, there is a kind of aggression that happens in my presentation skill. So that was something that I tried to fine tune, try to reduce a bit. So there was such kind of a practice where I had to make my interview more or less conversational, because rather than an interview, they call it as a personality test, where the traits of our personality like politeness, integrity, confidence, etc., are being checked. So I tried to keep a low profile in conversations rather than being aggressive. And secondly, there is also a need of a decent content and knowledge that they expect from a candidate who are appearing for the interview. So for that, I tried to read newspapers. Along that, I used many compilations from different academies, so that they give the news in a capsule format. So it helps us to understand the news without investing much time. In addition to that, I have also created a peer group where my different friends came together. We did current affairs, and we tried to have a peer mock interviews where the three of my friends will sit opposite to me, and they will ask questions from the transcripts that are available of the previous interview attending candidates. So this was my journey of preparation of the interview. Along with that, I have also took many one-on-one sessions with the mentors of academies, along with the already serving officers, so that it gives a first-hand impression or first-hand idea about the administration and office work, so that our answer becomes more original and more organic before the interview board. And coming to the interview board, it was very cordial interview board, where they spoke about they asked me to, since they saw my profile as a public speaker, they gave me a topic and asked me to speak on this particular topic. So that was my experience in the interview. When I spoke about the topic given was that the I am representing India at the World Economic Forum Summit at 2047. So I gave a short speech in the beginning, but the chairman, Dinesh Dasasa, was the board chairman, and he asked me to change the topics, because he changed perspectives. He began from the economic growth of India from 1947 to 2047, but in the midway, he changed it into international relations, India's neighborhood relations, India-Pakistan relations. So in that sense, I was supposed to speak about the topics that he was giving impromptu. So that's something that was a major task. But again, after that, I became comfortable. The questions were in and around, they asked questions about Kerala. They asked questions about the military diplomacy of India, economic growth of India, RBI's role, and about Thiruvananthapuram parliamentary constituency, Shashi Tharoor, etc. So questions were from a wide variety. More than questions, they were trying to interact with me. So I think in a personality test, it becomes important to interact or engage with the people who are sitting on the board in an equal footing. It's something that many of the interview panelists, mock interview panelists, has told me that they are officers, they are retired officers, and they see us as officers, future officers. So it's more or less like a junior officer of equal footing, standing with the senior officers and conversing with them. These exams are more or less similar, because both the examinations, I will speak about the similarities at first. Both the examinations are a three-step process. There is a preliminary examination, which is objective, and there is a mains examination, which is descriptive, and there is a personality test of interview by the PSC board members or UPSC board members. And coming to the syllabus also, nearly 70% of the syllabus are same. Indian economy, Indian history, Indian geography, then science and technology, culture, etc. are the subjects dealt in both the papers. But at the same time, coming to the Kerala Administrative Service examination, the syllabus is more vast, because we have to accommodate Kerala history, Kerala economy, and Kerala geography. So that is the primary difference in the syllabus, where almost all the papers except ethics, integrity, and aptitude in the UPSC examination is there in KAS examination. But in addition to that, there is also Kerala economy, Kerala geography, Kerala culture, Kerala history, etc. And coming to the interview, it is again more or less similar, but UPSC interview will last nearly to 25 to 30 minutes, where KAS interview was nearly 15 to 20 minutes. So that is it, difference in time duration. So coming to the differences between both the examination, first thing is in the preliminary, because in the preliminary examination of Union Public Service Commission, the first paper is only calculated for the qualification. The second paper, CSAT, or the General Studies 2 paper of the Civil Service Preliminary Examination, is a qualifying paper. We have to just score 66.66 in order to qualify the examination. But coming to Kerala Administrative Service, it is not like that. We have two papers. The marks of the two papers will be counted for your qualification for cutoff. The two papers, the sum of the marks that is scored in the two papers will be calculated for the selection into mains examination. And coming to mains examination of KAS and UPSC, the first difference is that the number of papers. In the UPSC examination, we are writing 9 papers, including 2 optional papers, 1 compulsory regional language, 1 compulsory English. The compulsory regional language and compulsory English will not be calculated for, again, will not be calculated for the rank list, for the consideration of rank list. It is just a qualifying paper, where we have to qualify nearly 100 marks for the 300 mark papers. And in UPSC examination, there is a 4 general studies papers, 4 general studies and essay paper, which is common to all the aspirants who are writing the examination. So the GS papers, the essay paper and the optional paper is for 250 marks. So the 7 papers for 250 marks, nearly 1750 marks is for written examination in the UPSC mains examination. Coming to Kerala Administrative Service, there is only 3 papers. There is only 3 papers and there is only 100 mark for each paper. So that there is only 20 questions in each paper. So we have 2 hours for writing a KAS paper for 100 marks with 20 questions. So the time management is more or less simple for KAS, because we have to write only nearly 20 pages for in 2 hours. But coming to UPSC examination, we have to write 50 pages in 3 hours. So that again becomes a very arduous and physically straining task for writing the UPSC mains examination. And coming to the interview part also, the UPSC interview is for 275 marks. 275 marks, and there is a more deciding factor, or interview or personality test becomes a very important and significant deciding factor in UPSC examination. While for Kerala Administrative Service, the interview or the personality test is only for 45 marks. And every person will get nearly 30 to 35 marks, so that it just rearranges your rank list rather than deciding your spot on in the finalist. Interview can be deciding factor, but coming to UPSC, comparing to UPSC, I think interview is a less deciding factor in the Kerala Administrative Service examination. These are the fundamental differences and similarities between KAS and UPSC. I always suggest people to study for UPSC, because UPSC is an examination which is being notified annually. Every year there will be UPSC examination. So studying UPSC or preparing for UPSC examination will definitely reward us in the PSC examinations, because as you have mentioned in the beginning, I am a person working as an assistant at the secretariat. So even for the secretariat assistant examination, the preparation of UPSC was very helpful, because the syllabus of Kerala PSC degree level examinations are more or less similar to the UPSC syllabus. And again, the question pattern from 2021, the question pattern has also been very close or similar with the UPSC examination. So preparing for UPSC will definitely help us in preparing for UPSC. In addition with that, we have also to prepare the Kerala content, so that it helps us in clearing the Kerala PSC examinations also. But again, Kerala PSC will notify for Kerala Administrative Service or any other post only once in 3 years. So that is a risk element in the Kerala PSC, because we are preparing for that. We have to wait for 3 years to write the examination. But for UPSC, if we are preparing, we can write annually. So that is a very important difference that makes UPSC preparation very important than the Kerala PSC preparation. There was a dilemma, because according to my rank, all India rank of 271 in the UPSC, I would be getting Indian Revenue Service. But again, if I join the Kerala Administrative Service after 8 years, I will be conferred with the Indian Administrative Service. But I then decided that I should join the Indian Revenue Service, because it gives an all India exposure. So as of now, I will be joining the Central Services. So that I will also get an opportunity to improve my rank once more. If as per the new rules of the UPSC, if we are included in the list, we can write the examination once more. So I think I will be joining for the central services. I think that public speaking is something that can contribute significantly to your UPSC preparation, but that is not a necessity. I don't say that it is necessary that we have to participate in all these competitions, but at the same time, from my perspective, how did it help? Thinking about going back to my school days or college days when I was preparing for this public speaking events, there will be different multiple topics etc., that they will be giving for us to prepare. So that I have made a basic reading of almost all the subjects like history, geography, economy and polity, especially sociology, especially. So there is a fundamental reading that I have done in many of the subjects that are relevant for UPSC. When I'm doing such a reading for my public speaking, that immediately forms a basis for my preparation again in UPSC in the knowledge part. So many of the constitutional articles were familiar to me before starting the preparation. Many of the historical incidents, many of the economic terms, many of the economic ideas, etc., were familiar from the quizzes and debates that I have participated. So that's something that gives us an edge in the preparation. But again, I was a person who did not make utilize of the edge that I got because my preparation lasted nearly like a 5 year plan. So I again coming to the mains examination. The first part is related again to prelims examination. In the mains examination, public speaking helps in a very different way so that we can structure our arguments because it is important in the mains answer writing to balance our arguments to give a balanced view of every answer. So there should be an analytical part. There should be a very critical approach in writing an answer about a topic. So as a debater, I've been exposed to different stages where we have to look upon the pros and cons of the different subjects. For example, even if I am not supporting something, there are times where I have to support something in a debate competition. So it was easy for me when a question is being asked, it was very easy for me to identify the advantages for that and again disadvantages. Even though I am not agreeing with that or even though I am not familiar with that, it was very comparatively easy for me to identify the two different angles of a same subject. That is one thing that was very helpful. And the second thing was that in public speaking, we always have a tendency to structure our presentation because sometimes we will structure it on different perspectives, like from the social perspective, from the economic perspective, and sometimes we will just think it from a part of stakeholders like government, public, NGOs, etc. So such kind of approaches in thinking about an answer helped us in structuring the answers or structuring the points that I am writing below a headline. So these are the two ways in which it helped me. The public speaking part helped me in structuring my mains answers. And finally, in the interview, definitely my public speaking is something that has rewarded me with a very impressive interview personality test score. And again, even after that, the confidence part is something that I gained from the public speaking platforms. And I still believe that the confidence that I've shown in taking up the different tasks given by the board chairman is something that helped me in getting a good score in the personality test. Because even when he was changing the topics that I have to speak, I didn't have a I was not bothered by the change of topic. I was immediately responding to the topics that he was giving. On the spot, I was changing upon the dimensions that he was contributing to my conversation. I think that that spontaneity and that confidence have definitely helped me in creating an impression towards the interview board. So these are the ways in which directly public speaking has helped me in my preparation. Secondly, indirectly also, the public speaking has given me many exposures and many contacts across the state, across the nation, where I could seek help or direct opinions. I have friends who are lawyers, so I had the opportunity to ask about a legal issue. So, in order to create an informed opinion about a legal issue, I can call any lawyers. And same about a medical issue, I can call doctors. So, I got very direct understandings or viewpoints of many topics from my friends across the country. So, that is again something that was given to me by public speaking. So, I suggest that if you are a school going or a college going student, attempting yourself in public speaking forums or quizzes or any other extracurricular activities will definitely help you first in putting up a hobby or interest in your detailed application form. That's something that we can always say. It will also get us some or the other achievements that can be included in the DAF. That is some two things which makes our DAF very elaborate and very impressive. And secondly, it will also help us to get a confidence in conversing with the very senior officials and citizens. So it helps us to create a very impressive conversational skill with an interview board or wherever we go. Even after getting into the services, our public speaking skills will help us in addressing the public, developing our interpersonal communication skills, etc. So, in that sense, it will definitely help. Even if you are not a person who is an introvert, even if you are a person with social anxiety, that does not create a hindrance in this examination, because I've seen many people who have this kind of introversion, who are into themselves, who are reading many books alone. So such kind of people can also qualify the examination. So this is not an imperative. Being a public speaker is not an imperative for clearing the examination, but at the same time, it helps us to be a more create a more refined version of ourselves that is presentable. That is again having a very lot of networking which can help in the exam preparation. There is no hard and fast rule like starting from a young age. I've seen people who have started preparing from the school ages and clearing the examination. I've also started people who has no idea of this examination, who came after their graduation and clearing the examination. So, but at the same time, if at all somebody asked me to speak about a right time for preparing for the examination, I would say it's now. It's now. If you are a student, school student right now, you can start reading newspapers. Start reading newspapers of any language, not creating content or not writing notes from the newspaper, only for understanding or getting the patience of reading newspaper. In the age of reels and very micro content and distraction, I think we need a super skill to concentrate ourselves for half an hour in newspaper. So we can start reading newspaper in order to analyze our patience, to understand our attention span, etc. And secondly, having a general idea of things that are happening around us. And reading a Malayalam newspaper plus English newspaper will definitely help us to get a grasp over both the languages. So, in that sense, developing language skills, developing a general understanding, developing a patience for reading, etc., can be developed from your school age if we start reading newspaper. And secondly, we can study the NCRT or SCRT textbook about India history, geography. So it will help us in getting good marks in the school, as well as it will form a foundation for our later civil service preparations. That is for school students. And coming to college students, again, this is the right time where you can be more serious readers. Like, even though you are not reading core textbook related to Indian polity or history, you can also read some of the non-academic books related to Indian polity, commentaries by diplomats related to international relation, or histories written as stories. There are many writers who write history in a very interesting manner to get a general idea about what our past, what is our politics, etc. And also reading newspaper in a more serious manner than the school students will definitely help us to be a very responsible citizen, because college going students are adults. So we have to have a general civic idea. We have to develop an idea related to the politics that is happening around us. We have to understand our constitution and how the economy works. So in that sense, that becomes a civic responsibility of the college going students to read the newspaper and get idea about the things that are happening around. So that is again a right time for the preparation for them. And finally, for the people who are graduating this year, this is the very right time to start your coaching or start your preparation yourself by reading serious books, understanding the syllabus and question papers. My preparation on current affairs was mostly relied upon the newspapers. I tried to read newspapers because my mentors used to give me mark the important newses for me, so that I can read that on later. And I have taken digital notes rather than handwritten notes. I will copy paste the news from Hindu or Indian Express to my digital notes so that I can later refer it. My handwriting is not that impressive because I won't even read that again before the examination. So I used to take digital notes from the newspapers, but I was not a regular note taker or regular reader of newspapers. So for the days that I missed newspaper, I have also made use of the compilations by different academies who present their prelims current affair compilation or mains current affair compilation. So I filled the gaps in my notes from those compilations and textbooks that are available. I have also taken copies of my friends who have qualified the examination, their notes of current affairs, so that I have taken many of the topics from there, and I have researched of my own, because it does not make a it does not make a sense when we are studying somebody else's notes. It's just passive reading. It's only we can take the topics from them, and we have to, in my philosophy, we have to think about that. We have to search ourselves for the most key points of that, so that it will be part of our brain or our cognitive senses. In prelims examination, nearly 30 to 40 questions are predictable. Usually, there are certain areas. For example, in polity, Indian polity, we have the parliament, fundamental rights, and judiciary. There will be definitely 5 questions from all these 3 topics. And coming to economics, the public finance, especially fiscal deficit and deficit areas, and also the banking part, especially the monetary policy. So, monetary policy and fiscal policy are two important aspects from economy where there will be definitely questions coming in. And coming to environment, the species part, even though it is a very vast part, there will be definitely 2 or 3 questions from the species in the examination. And in geography also, there will be direct questions from India's river system. Usually, there are 2 questions from India's river system, and again questions from India's climatology. And from international relation, places in news, especially conflict zones or the countries where civil war is happening. So such kind of questions are definitely predictable. So in that sense, 30 to 40 questions are usually predictable and usually repetitive in not the word by word repetition of questions, but at the same time, there will be a major question from these predictable areas. There may be difficulty levels can be changed, but these topics are very repetitive in the prelims examination. But more than prelims, I think the mains examination is very predictable, because there are many themes like the women empowerment is a theme. There will be 1 question in Indian society part. And coming to polity, again, comparison between the political systems, there will be 1 question definitely in Indian polity, GS2. And in ethics, the ethics of public administrators, there will be 2 to 3 questions on the same theme, but asked in a different framing. In the ethics paper, there will be definitely such questions will be asked. So in the GS 1 to 4 papers, it is more or less predictable, because the questions may change its perspective, questions may change its question keywords, but the themes that we have to study, the data we have to collect, the examples we have to collect will be predictable. Because when we study all the 5 or 10 topics for a particular GS paper, definitely there will be 2 or 3 questions from those prepared topics in the GS part. So that is more or less predictable in the mains. But personality test is very less predictable, because they can ask anything and everything about the things that comes to their mind. So we have to limit the things that comes to their mind. How to limit that? By limiting our DAF, not writing any single word beyond our comprehension in the DAF. Every single word that is being written in DAF should be prepared, so that anything asked from the DAF will be predictable. And the second thing is that we should limit ourselves in speaking. When they ask one thing, answer directly to that. If we are speaking beyond that, there are possibilities that we will give a very difficult topic into their mouth, so that they can ask. If they are asking me something about Kerala, if I say a word about anything that I don't know about Kerala, just as I mentioned, they will definitely ask about that. For example, in the Kerala Administrative Service examination, my research area is related to Travancore. So there was a question about the legislators of Travancore. I said the name Karman Devatan. He is a Renaissance leader from Kerala, but I didn't know much about his profile or background. Immediately, the board member picked up that particular name and asked me about his contributions. I was answerless. So it is my responsibility to limit my answers into the terrains which I am familiar with. If at all something goes beyond our understanding, they will definitely ask about those things, and we'll be trapped before them. We'll be exposed. Our ignorance will be exposed before them. So there are 2 ways in which limiting the questions of the interview board. One thing is by limiting our DAF. Second thing is limiting our own public speaking. I mean, limiting our own answers. All the personality test appearing candidates do, we prepare a list of 10 or 15 types of aesthetically saying that I don't know. Sir, I am not aware about that. Sir, I cannot recall it at the moment. Can you please educate me on that? I'm afraid, sir, I don't have the enough information to speak about that. In that sense, we collect a 15 or 20 ways in which we can say, I don't know. And even I had the opportunity to say two of them. One was related to, they asked me about a Kadamba dynasty and their role to Indian Navy. But I said, I don't know. Because they asked it from a preconceived notion that the Kadamba dynasty was from Kerala. Actually, it was from Karnataka, but I was not clear about that. I could have answered, sir, it is not from Kerala in my understanding, but I simply said, sir, I cannot recall the dynasty's history at the moment. Sorry, sir. So that the question is over there. If I am trying to correct the interview board member, or if I am trying to say my limited knowledge about this, there are possibilities that they judge us on the half-baked knowledge of ours, or the way in which we are being arrogant to the personality test board. And second time also, the last panel member asked me about India's educated unemployment rate. I have studied the data. But at the same time, at the time of the interview, I was not able to recall the exact data related to educated unemployment. So I said, sir, I have studied that, but I cannot recall at the moment. So he asked me about compare it with the general unemployment rate. So I was able to recollect, sir, the educated unemployment rate is slightly higher than the general unemployment rate. And the interview board clearly acknowledged that, okay, we have got the idea that you know the answer. So without saying the fact, I just said about a slant idea that I had about the data, but they understood that I have a knowledge, or I have read about that particular topic. I was able to give an impression that I knew the topic without saying the right answer, or without saying I don't know directly to the board. I think such kind of answers will also help us to show the intellectual integrity and humility of a person, which is very important as a personality.